25 years after the original, it is once again time to pump up the jam for Space Jam: A New Legacy. Space Jam: A New Legacy follows LeBron James and his son, who, after winding up the algorithm, are sucked into the digital world and they have to win a basketball game in order to escape, and they are helped out by the Looney Tunes. Now, before we actually talk about this movie, I just want to say that no matter what we older people think, us fans of the first one think, end of the day, when I was watching this movie, there were little kids in the screen that were having the time of their life, laughing and crying along with the movie. So that is my big takeaway from this, from a wider perspective of things. But in terms of how the film affected me personally, well, I've got a few things to say. LeBron James, as expected, isn't a great actor, but did we honestly expect him to be a great actor? No. The problem that this film does is it has him carry the film with his family a lot of the time. And whilst you could forgive it in the first one because it was nothing more than product placement and uniting the Looney Tunes and a famous basketball player, this one tries to have more of a message. And I do respect it for attempting that. Do you want the soulless product placement version of Space Jam? Or do you want the soulless referencing of Space Jam: A New Legacy? That's kind of the two sides of the coin you have to pick with these movies, and they're both heavily flawed in this sense. One of the sort of highlights, but also downfalls of this movie is having the Looney Tunes interact with some classic Warner Brothers property. And while there are some great moments, a particular favorite of mine is Granny and Speedy briefly interacting with the Matrix movie. These aren't the Looney Tunes I grew up with, which is fine. A lot of the voice actors in this are the voice actors from the 2011 to 2014 TV series. So while the Looney Tunes did sound a bit off to me, and they felt like pale imitations of what I'd seen as a child, I have to remember that these tunes are the new ones that the kids of today are watching, and they are quite used to the voices. So that's just a minor gripe for me. That's not going to grade down too much. The basketball itself, I won't say the first one was perfect. The first one definitely ignored every single foul rule in the book. But this one, it just basically bent a lot of the fundamental rules of basketball for the cool factor. I can't say it quite worked for me. It might work for others, but for me, it stripped away a lot of the basketball elements. And when you're trying to bring the best player around in basketball right now into this game, it doesn't quite work where it's not the game that LeBron plays. The way it worked with Michael Jordan was the Looney Tunes needed help, so they got the GOAT at the time, Michael Jordan, to come down and help him. In this one, the Looney Tunes didn't need help. It was LeBron that needed help, and it didn't end up working as well because it wasn't really LeBron getting to show off much of his basketball skills. There's a lot of Lola Bunny scenes, and I'm happy to see Lola in this. I just wish we got more of the original Monstars in this as well, because there are a couple of small cameos from the little aliens in their alien form that I'm pretty sure they just ripped their cutout from the original film and placed it over scenes from this one just to remind us that they existed, which in a way just detracted it from me and made me really want to go watch the original one again. The soundtrack of this one is nowhere as near as top tier as the original Space Jam, even excluding the R. Kelly song from the original one. You still had Hit 'em High, you still have Fly Like an Eagle, you still have the Space Jam theme that did not appear in this for whatever reason. Honestly, I appreciate some of the references. I appreciate they tried to do a message and do something different, but the fact that the Looney Tunes weren't allowed to be Looney Tunes for most of the movie, and while they do get some highlights, it's not as much as I would have liked to have seen. A lot of the references became quite distracting, and they override the message. While it's a sweet message, it's cookie cutter and doesn't quite hit as hard when we have inexperienced actors involved in it. But it's like I said, if referencing is your thing and you enjoy some soulless, endless referencing, then you'll definitely have some fun with this one. And I do appreciate that the film did try and give us more heartfelt moments. And while they didn't land for me personally, they might land for other people. So I can respect the film for that. But for me, I was watching and all I could think of was how much I really wanted to watch the original one again. The other team that the Illusions play in this one do not have just the memorability that the team in the original one did. And Don Cheadle is a great villain, very much a worthy successor to the Swack Hammer character from the original. And another side point I want to point out is this film establishes that the original movie is a movie in this world, and there are several references to it, right down to a Michael Jordan fake out. And I really had to wonder, did Space Jam happen? Did it not happen? It's very confusing, but it's one of those that you have to think about, and it's not worth thinking about. It's Space Jam: A New Legacy. What do we expect? You went in expecting a fantastic, marvelous film. What were you doing? It's Space Jam: A New Legacy. You want to go in and just see some basketball played by the Looney Tunes going absolutely loony. But for me, that did under deliver on the promise of once again reuniting with these Looney Tunes. All it did was make me want to go back and watch some of the classic Looney Tunes episodes and go back and watch the classic Space Jam, which we will always have. And I would say just let the kids have this one. But for me personally, it didn't quite hit the mark. Before I get into my gravy, like I do on this channel and you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, let me know in the comments down below what your favourite Looney Tune is, and subscribe to the channel while hitting that like button. It would really help me a lot. But without further ado, let's talk about A New Legacy and grade it. So, Space Jam: A New Legacy, didn't go in expecting much. I expected a bit more of the Looney Tunes being loony, and while they do get their moments to be themselves, it isn't enough for me. LeBron was predictably bad at acting, and I wouldn't have minded it so much if it wasn't for the fact they tried to force in an emotional element to the movie. That while I can appreciate they tried it, it doesn't work when it's an inexperienced actor trying to convey it on the big screen. For me, the first one rules over this one, but let's not get into a war over it. End of the day, 20 years from now, the kids watching this today will see this film exactly as we do to that 1996 classic. But for me, didn't quite work. And overall, I'm going to have to say that Space Jam: A New Legacy is just a lukewarm cup of tea. So Space Jam: A New Legacy, have you seen it? If you have, let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Again, let me know your favourite Looney Tune. What is your favourite Looney Tunes short? I'm more of a Tasmanian Devil fan myself and did enjoy that spin-off. But that's my whole deal with Looney Tunes. Do be sure you subscribe to more reviews and ranking videos like this coming all the time. And until next time, my name is Josh. I have been your Movie Apprentice. And I'll see you in the next one.